To me, art brings happiness and joy, you know. Everybody has an outlet, but as a kid, I used to lick my finger in the winter and just make swirls on the mirrors and on the windows just to see that coolness of creating something. Well, for me, I used to draw almost everything when I was a kid, but my dad took me hunting and fishing as a kid. And he'd go outside, he'd pick up a rock, and he would show me things under the water, nature, and the birds, and pick up a bird and show me his wings. You know, if he was a car salesman, I'd probably paint cars, but he always took me outside and showed me nature, so that's been my biggest influence.
Well, art to me means that I can express myself. It means that it's important to me to be able to enjoy my life, and this helps me enjoy my life.
In my mind, my creativity comes from everything around me. A billboard, the way color that somebody's using their dresses, or the eyes of somebody faces. Most of it, most of my art is a little bit more religious than mundano. And we try to travel a lot, trying to find different aspects of religion, different phases of religion.
Art is a way of living, period. The creativity of art, it's wonderful. It's wonderful being in the show. It's wonderful to see what everyone else does with art.
It's an exploration. It's like, but like any exploration, it's like you don't know where you're going. You know, art in general it's probably the second oldest occupation. We all know the oldest, but after basic survival needs are taken care of, like food, water, shelter, and security, immediately the next in line is sex and art.
Well, I think that art is constantly ongoing, and it will continue to expand. If you ever try to confine it, then you've defined it, and you, in a sense, have choked this thing. Art will always grow. It will always find a new audience and a new way of exploration.
You know, a lot of the Navajo art is, at that time and period, was just for healing. And for example, sand painting. Now that was basically for healing, but at some point it became what it is today, and we sometimes use it as to tell stories. So I think that there's one way to tell a history, you know, in a painting or in a song or in a story. You know, you could write stories about it. So that's what I think.
It's something that makes me the happiest when I'm involved in the process of making art. There's just kind of a magic, and it just fills, I guess I would say it fills my soul. I would say my paintings, the skyscapes, reflect my certain lighting conditions, and to me they take on a spiritual aspect, and I'm drawn to kind of that ethereal beauty that I see, and you know, it's a deep desire within me to be able to depict that beauty that I see and really share it with somebody else. You know, I want to be able to get to the point where my paintings will stop people kind of dead in their tracks, and so they find something that they can relate to, that their heart relates to as well.
For me, I look at it as more of a way of my life and what it takes to really get fulfilled as far as doing something that I really like to do. Society needs art because they've never been able to live without it. If you go back to the Anasazi and the Indians that were in the caves, they did not survive without even doing their drawings on the cave. Drawing or art or music is part of life that has to always be done, and it always will be.
I think art is energy. I think art is a backdrop for energy. I think artwork that we hang on walls are backdrops for the energy that makes up the universe. I mean, I couldn't piss on the sand and not create. I mean, everything we do, I mean, every movement, every this, that, I mean, it's all energy, you know? And what you're thinking about as you do it, you know, I mean, could be as meaningless as pissing in the sand.
Art is a way that I can express what's deep inside of me that is personal and emotional, and it's a secret feeling that I can express within the canvas. Yes, when I paint a picture, there is an embedded emotion. It is part of my soul, part of my heart, things that have happened to me, emotions that I've felt, things that I've dealt with in my life. In a way, my art helps me deal with it. It's what's deep inside of me, it's my experiences, and I expose them in my art. Yes, I forget about the world when I paint. I'm lost within that emotion, within that moment of creation.
I just I enjoy plying my craft. You know, I've been at it for 27 years now, making kaleidoscopes. So I enjoy my time at the work table. Most of the time I'm spending my time alone, working on my work, and having an art show like this, it's great to be able to show it to the many people that come through. So I get to talk about my process and show off the materials, and people ask me how long it takes or where I get my materials. So it's a fun process. Kaleidoscopes are very nostalgic. Most of us remember having one as a child, so I like to rekindle that, but these are adult versions. They're more expensive and larger, but they bring you back to that same place you were as a kid, looking through your kaleidoscope for the first time. So that's how I would describe it.
Art means to me, it is the oldest form of communication known to mankind. And I feel it's an honorable pursuit. We, as human beings, will always need to communicate. And we're visual creatures. And art is the very first way we learn to communicate ideas to each other. You can go back to the caves of Lascaux 35,000 years ago and you see art. And that was how they expressed their ideas.
Personally, art means to me is an expression or impression of beauty. When I start a piece to bring out any idea, it's the feeling I want to bring out. I think kids are open, and when they begin to do art, just to keep that openness and that freshness and the excitement of doing it. Little children, when they start doing art, they're going to get more appreciation of everything that's around them the rest of their life.
I study the stone first of all. I'll look at the stone, I'll study it, I look at it, see which way the colors flow, where they go, and then I try to get the most out of the piece as I possibly can. Once I've studied it, once I've looked at it, I check it for flaws, make sure that I can create something and it won't cost me any problems down the road, and then I start working on it. I've seen my art go from real happy with movements, with my dancing bears, with my buffaloes, with my bears, with my figures that I do, figurative pieces that I do. And you can tell how things have been going in my life because of the art.
I think the most rewarding pieces are pieces that you just have an emotion or a strong feeling about or of, and you have no other way of explaining that other than to have it manifested through a piece of my work. Art's tough to define, and it's part of society. It's always been. It's one of the media that our society or we communicate with each other.
I mean, I get emotional just creating it, because I'm creating something beautiful, something that I find, beautiful in reality, and so when I create it in a drawing, it's the same effect. It's emotional, and that's what I hope that it brings out in people who look at my art, is that same emotion. It just brings out the best in me to be able to create that art.
Intense. When I paint, I feel sometimes a lot of intensity. I don't paint very many paintings, but the paintings that I paint, I've thought about, and I take a long time to paint them. And they're generally a translation of thought or feeling or expression that I mean, I paint nudes and I paint portraits, and I try and capture something. If I'm doing a portrait, I try and capture something of the person I'm painting, how I perceive them and how they come across. And if I'm painting a nude, I try and make it sensual, not necessarily provocative, but sensual. How I perceive that art as the viewer, and what it does to me, that I find some art, makes my heart beat faster, or it gives me the goosebumps, or makes me think, or makes me feel. It's provocative. And if it makes you feel something, then it's art.
Personally, well, with my art, I just enjoy it because it's my way of letting my creativity come out and my expression. Like as a kid and stuff, I've always been very interested in history, and what I do with my artwork is I'm able to bring that history alive. Whether I'm doing my Western pieces, or I like my Navajo Yeviche, I can look at a picture and something that interests me, and then I can bring that to life that way. So, I'm very familiar with my anatomy, both for animals and for human anatomy, and so I have a gift that God gave me that I can bring things to life, and they have a natural motion and grace to them. So I enjoy packaging those two things together.
When I create a painting, it definitely is going to reflect emotions that are inside of me, or that I've seen and witnessed in other people. I mean, that's what I try to do, because painting faces, for me, is the greatest pleasure. And so when I do that, I'm really trying hard to bring forth something that the viewer will stand and look at and get a feeling. For me, it's important to embed emotions in my art, because it's a method for me to connect with people.
Art is a very interesting way to show what you are yourself. I've done a lot of things in my life, and art is so personal that you actually reveal yourself to whoever's looking at your art. When I'm starting on a new piece, sometimes the piece actually speaks to me and tells me what it wants to be, and I know that's a very arty kind of thing to say, but in a lot of cases it's true.
Well, I think art brings beauty into our lives, and there's more to life than just math and science and that kind of thing. And I think beautiful art
helps in many ways in our society to express our feelings and emotions and that kind of thing. So.
Oh, that's hard to say. It gives me a chance to express myself and an opportunity to maybe make people laugh, smile, recall a memory, something in their past, something in their future. It's something to make people happy, make them stop and think. Oh, art is a general equalizer, regardless of your nationality or your religion, your beliefs or anything else. Art is a natural, just a mutual naturalizer. Everything's equal in the art world. Whether you be from Iraq, Japan, United States, you can understand art. It's anything you can create from your mind. For me, for example, it's like listening to music, open my mind into an art. Any object, anything you can create from nothing turns into an art for me. No? From I was inspired to all different places I've been in my life. No? Inspiration of the people, villages, food, everything inspired me to make a piece of art. No?
My personal take on what art is basically the creation from the beginning. Because on my particular art, even though it is different, it is actually a multitude of components of what other artists have done. It starts with sculpture, as you saw earlier. I sculpt the piece, and then from there I make a casting. But when I get my casting back, instead of making it into a bronze sculpture, I take it to the next level. And I've incorporated shells and mosaics to complete what I consider the unusual. If you look at this particular piece, she looks like she's wearing a dress. The piece over here that I did for the New York Fashion Week just recently, from a distance looks like a garment. But I actually molded that out of fiberglass and then added components that would look like fabric, which would be the mosaics and the shells. But it's really not fabric at all. And that's the essence of who I am as far as creating my own creativity. I'm trying to capture the feminine form in all aspects of femininity.
I think it was Michelangelo who said that you could portray almost any kind of emotion or pathos or intent in the human body.
And I really feel that's true. It is a lot where I focus on in the human figure and how I can portray whatever it is that idea that I want to get across.
Well, I've been doing it now for 38 years, and it's my job. That's about the only thing I can say. You know, it's what I like to do. I can't work for a living. Nobody pay me. I ain't worth a doot. So I just do my thing. I'm able to lose myself in my work, and I don't really, you know, like you say, it doesn't mean I don't have any philosophies. I don't have anything else. It's just I make a good living at it, and it's what I like to do.
If you look at my art and you see entities in it, and you see a little bit of gold going down to touch one, that's my credit to where the art comes from, because that's the light of the Creator. A lot of times I really don't know where it's going to go. I'll divide my canvas and begin to play, and pretty soon it will begin to take some form of a shape. And I can stand back and say, I like that.
Well, for the very thing we talked about, to give beauty, and to lift people, to give them hope, and to give them that dimension, the spiritual dimension. If a person can connect with a piece of art, he suddenly becomes a part of the creativity. And so even though he may not be an artist, he can appreciate it, and it will speak to him, speak to his spirit.
Personal taste, just like things of beauty. Really, I studied art for 12 years and kind of let it go. Got busy with life for 30, 35 years or so. And then I have MS, and I was losing control of my arms. Started to pick it back up again, so I regained the control in my arms and hands because I do real intricate work, and just I want to do fun stuff, things that
improve the quality of life for me and for everyone around me.
So it actually has helped you, has helped you transform physically somehow, like cure yourself in a way?
Yeah, to regain control of the art.
My internal perspective in art is, I believe it feeds the soul. I believe that it gives me a sense of strength and takes my eyes and makes them refined for life, and it makes me see beauty in everything.
An artist, if they're true to themselves, their work becomes symbiotic. It's a symbiotic relationship. So the art and the artist, you can't tell the difference. And feeling-wise, it's my life, I guess. And it's just, I feel really true to my art. Art can bring a lot to society. I think it's different for each individual, and art has many things to offer people. I believe that it offers inspiration. It offers its healing powers.
I feel happy when I paint. I really, really love to paint people. I didn't for a long time, but ever since I started painting people, I know that that's my thing, because that's what I feel most satisfied and happy working on. I love to capture the body language. I want them to feel relaxed and happy and natural, and I guess it captivates my imagination. And I'm very detail oriented. I like the accuracy and the details, and when it comes out feeling natural and happy, then I'm very happy.
Well, art is a very necessary thing for me. It expresses my innermost feelings, and when I produce something, I tend to look at the outcome of the creation, and the creation is basically more or less a dramatization of my inner feelings. So that's basically what I get from art.
Since I was an art student for a lot of years, this has become just part of my life. So
You know, art is my life right now. So I used to play professional football, and I don't do that anymore, and I just happened to fall into my art training, and here I am.
I feel a sense of pride and craftsmanship, and just a way to express myself through putting different objects together and materials, and making something that people really enjoy. Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's any form of creativity, whether it's art, music, ballet, it's all a form of therapy for the soul, I believe.
Well, when I'm working, I feel a tremendous amount of satisfaction and a calmness about it. I'm able to focus right specifically on the piece of rock. The most important part of to carve a piece of stone is the conversation with the rock before you ever cut.
Oh God, there's so many different feelings that go along with this. Hopefully I get lost in it. I just go to a place that's kind of comfortable.
When you get lost?
Well, yeah, there's a sense of joy in creating art. There's a sense of connecting with you know, the ideas. It's a matter of not necessarily visualizing something for me, but letting something evolve as I'm working on it.
I like to do variety things. I don't want to just focus one subject. So most things is the east meets west. And you can see last work right here is east-west, some is west. So I try to culture and mix it to create it on my own kind of artwork.
Well, for me, art is just an expression of my own relationship with the natural world. That's where I get all my inspiration. The images come from the natural world, textures come from the natural world. I just want to express my relationship to that. Well, expressing yourself artistically is, it's done in its own language, so it can bridge differences between people. I think it's very important. like a piece of art could come, if you look at a piece of art, you don't know what culture it came from necessarily. You might know what it's about, but you don't know where the artist is from. You don't know where it all came from. So it's a great communication tool for bridging things that you can't do with just conversation.
Art is a natural part of every person. You're born with it. And if you're lucky, you fall into a culture that encourages it. Here, we seem to put other things ahead of it, so a lot of people miss that opportunity. Art belongs to the arts, so you're born with these talents. It's either you're going to be painting, or singing, or dancing, in the theater, writing. All of those belong to everyone.
Art is an expression of one's inward emotion. It is creating something that's never been in existence before. It lasts forever. And what I believe is we are attempting to reach another person, the viewer's emotions, through our art.
Usually I'll get an idea in my head, and I do a lot of nature type of things, scenery. So I like to camp, I like the outdoors, so when I hear sounds, I like to mimic them with the sound of water, with natural sounds of the river or brooks or something like that. And I like to make artwork for my mind, and my wife does this with me, so she could draw, which makes it really helpful, because I can have something on my mind, or she can, and then she'll draw it out, and then from there we'll put together maybe a prototype. Like some of these fountains over here are prototypes, so there's something small, and then you make something large from it.
I think that what is beneficial about art for society is evoking an emotion. I think that it's easy to make something pretty, but I think that to have it evoke some feeling, a little bit more than beauty, something that touches you inside, to me, that's what art evokes.
Pues hay una historia que a mi padre siempre le gustó andar explorando el barro, y le gustó mucho ver las cuevas donde habitaban vamos a decir, los de Casadrandeñas, eran por decir, las ruinas de Paquimé. De ahí se llevó una noción, porque pues ya este trabajo ya estaba, nomás que ahí lo revivió. Y fue el problema para saber cómo se colaba el barro, pues la pintura cómo se hacía, y siempre se tardó.
porque él no había visto nunca un alfarero, nunca se había visto, por decir, alguien quien le dijera así se hace. Él se metió y exploró los barros y le gustó mucho, demasiado, y duró para sacarlo, pero siempre sí.
I think that when you get into the mindset of painting, you feel, you know, creative passion, you feel energy, you feel lost in the piece, and the juices flow, and you just, you create, and you don't really think about time, the time that's being spent. It's just, it's very fluid.
Well, when someone has an idea, such as they're a pottery collector or something, they have something that's very special to them. I try to incorporate that in what I do. I try to do the research, the artist work that's, say if they're looking for a Hopi design, we do research on that design or that books in the library so that we have the right designs, the story which tells everything about what their idea is about. And so they're giving me an idea which I turn around and talk to an artist with, and I elaborate either a carver, a tooler, or a painter.
It's a zen. I kind of lose myself in what's going on around me. I pay attention to my paper, I pay attention to my paint, the textures and things, and I forget about everything else. And it's not really I don't really create art to say something to somebody else. I don't create art to get some emotion out of myself. It's a relaxation. It's kind of a euphoria thing.
Well, it's absolutely amazing with the new tools available now to create photographic art particularly. Ansel Adams would have had a ball if he'd had the computer software that we have now. The factor that will make a computer enhancement with images art is that it will be one of a kind. It is my eye, what I feel, what I think, just as a painter does with their canvas with oils or watercolors. I do the very same thing, but it's in the computer. It's the only difference. I paint. My canvas is in the computer.
I've had it up to here, loving life while dropping my tears. Can't say that I haven't been alone, like a child who lost his way back home.
I teach in a college up north here, and I teach drawing. And if you can teach a young child to draw and so forth, he will become so enriched with
He will draw horses, he will draw buildings, you know, and you never know, like my brother is an architect. Well, when we were young, he drew buildings. You know, I didn't draw buildings, so I'm not an architect. So, and in the end, you know, it became a way of life to him and me too, and it's very rewarding to turn out a good piece of artwork. It's very, you get inspired with what you've done yourself. Very self-satisfaction job at times.
When I first started doing my wall pieces, they more resembled kind of like what an ancient shield would have looked like, you know, a war shield. They've kind of actually just evolved into, you know, more of, you know, what you'd call just more of a ceremonial shield. But really, I didn't derive it from anything particular, you know, other than that. Now, I'll take this piece for example. This is 3 separate burl slabs mounted on a big faceplate, and then spun on a lathe. So as I'm turning it, I'm shaving the wood away. After I turn it, I go back through on these sections, I carve these out, and then I go back and color this to give you the bone look over top. So these are not glued on, that's actually part of the wood. And in this piece in particular, I put a redwood insert in the center also.
It's important to create and to get your ideas out on canvas, and I like to do animals. I go out to farmlands and petting zoos and different things like that, zoos, and take pictures of the animals, and so then I paint from those photos, and that brings it into the people's homes that might not get to go to those places. I think everybody needs to learn to create something, either music or writing, so it's important for children to learn something creatively.
I think, you know, personally for me, it's a way to make a living. It's a visual communication, and it's about the intellectuality of what to put on a surface, to how to make a painting, because every piece of art speaks differently to different people. There are people that hate my stuff, there are people that love it, and there are people that are indifferent. I think with abstraction, it's the outcome of a university education in dealing with art as a reflection of culture and society.
When I paint, what I'm trying to bring out is my inner feelings that I don't know how to express but
with art. The art has become a refuge of mine. It is a place where I can go and get away from the world and meditate and find peace.
Movement is the key to my creativity. When I see movement in form everywhere in life, then it sparks my imagination on what I want to create. It can be anything as simple as a music note. It can be anything as complex as like a Art Deco movement in a sculpture from the Art Deco period, which also influences my movement of my sculptures. And I'd like to have the sculptures themselves evoke emotion within a person because their eyes move with the piece and it sparks something within them. And that's the key to a sale. That's usually why I make a sale, is because it has touched them in some way.
Well, art for me is a way that I can take my emotions and my experiences and turn it into something concrete which I can then share with others, which will hopefully inspire them to follow their passion and their purpose in life. And I love my modern abstract conceptual style because it really promotes an elevated way of thinking about art for the viewer because it's not just spelled out for them. Well, for me, the most important things in life are love and the meaningful relationships that we create with other people. And I think that art really inspires people. It represents love and peace and positivity. And so essentially it's the essence of life.
Personally, art to me is love, it's passion, it's joy, and it's peace. Whenever I put a brush to the canvas, it's just the most peaceful place that I could ever go. I'm always trying to convey joy, and it's just love, and it's my passion. So that's what art is to me. It's more of a feeling. Paintings will just come to me. They just come to me, and then they come out on the canvas. So, and usually it's of a musical or a dance theme, something like that. It's just my passion.
Brings a lot of enjoyment to me, and it also brings when I see other people that enjoy what I do and appreciate what I do, then it brings a satisfaction that I can bring something enjoyable and something of beauty into a person's life. What I usually do is I start out with reference material, because a lot of paintings that I do, I want people to be able to identify that particular place, and then so I start out with reference material, but once I get going, then I'll just set it aside and kind of let the painting go the direction it wants to go.
It pretty much defines who I am.
And I have studied art for many years, and that was my degree in school. So it pretty much is what my life is, and I know that I can do it until I die. Part of who human beings are, and they need to express themselves.
It's just like a constant thing. Whenever I look at something, that's what I'm always thinking. It's this constant record playing in the background about how I would do that, you know, how I would express that and share it with other people. It's that I like things that are beautiful. I like things that look peaceful, that are realistic and somewhat soft. And that's just really a reflection of who I am. I can't change that.
Well, I think that artists are voyeurs in a way. They watch the world and then take it inside of them and rearrange it and make it come back out. I think all art is autobiographical in a certain way. You're painting what you know and how you've taken the world in and taking it back outside, thoughts about it, whatever you do. It all is autobiographical in some way.
Yes, the concept that we can take either from something that you're trying to create as a homeowner or as an interior designer or as a home builder or an architect, and then we'll basically make sure that it meets all the criteria that you're wanting, as well as meeting any specifications that it needs to have, either structurally as well as artistically, so that you get the end product finished.
It makes me feel happy. I find a lot of joy in my artwork. I started out as a painter 30 years ago and got carpal tunnel in my hand about 10 years ago, and I started designing jewelry then because I'm holding my hands in a different position so that now the carpal tunnel doesn't bother me. So I've been doing the jewelry line for about 10 years now. That's a wonderful feeling, to see a woman put on a piece of jewelry and see her face light up, and now she feels beautiful by the piece that she has on.
It enhances her own beauty.
See?
I definitely think children are benefited from teaching art and learning how to create.
And you think that also applies to to war veterans?
I'm a war veteran myself.
How does that have helped you art?
Well, I've just always been a painter. I've tried sculpting too, and it's just when I was in the war, I saw things that I tried to recreate.
Has painting helped you find some peace of mind or something?
Yes, it does. It helps me to have peace of mind.
We have, through Judi Combs, we have set up a nonprofit organization to give art lessons and therapy lessons, sculpture lessons to the American veterans. Making art is accessing parts of yourself, especially if you're in the right situation, that don't have to be guarded. I try to give people language so they can say things that come from inside of them that they sometimes don't even realize that are there. So in spite of the fact that this isn't actually a therapy class, I think it's a therapy class because I think all art is therapy in some way. You're accessing parts of the inside of a person, and that's so wonderful.